Well, thank you everyone for joining and popping on today. I know that Allie and myself and Christine have visited many of the schools participating in this year's high school summit. And just for Danielle's, we have 8 schools participating this year with almost 100 students. So we're very excited about that. And the goal of the program is all the students are doing work to advance protection and restoration of Long Island Sound. And when we've gone into the classrooms, we've heard a lot of questions about kelp and can they do projects around kelp? And I always said, well, it's a lot harder than you think it is. And they said, well, what if, can we just grow kelp? Can we get kelp seeds? And I said, well, let's go to the experts. And that's where we reached out to you. And we're hoping that you can just provide an overview of the Shinnecock kelp farmers and all the work that goes into, growing the hatchlings in the hatchlings. I don't know if you actually call them hatchlings, but growing the seeds on the seedlings on the spools, and then planting them. And then we can open
Maureen,
it up for some questions.
You know everything.
Not always, but okay. Thanks.
You do. You know a lot.
Thanks for the confidence.
Well, we took the tour, Danielle.
True.
So I'm going to hand it over to Danielle to introduce the Shinnecock kelp farmers and their project.
Sure. Could you do me a favor and send Becky a link?
I got it, Danny. I'm here.
Oh, there she is.
Yay. I found it. Yay. So I'm here. Hi, everyone. Akwe.
Hi, Becky.
Hi, Becky.
Hi.
This is my partner, Rebecca Genia, activist. Did you want to start, Becky?
You know what? I will just say something before you begin. So thank you for inviting us to this Zoom today. My name is Rebecca Genia. I guess what they call a young elder of the Shinnecock tribe. I'm an enrolled member and very honored to be one of the co-founders of the Shinnecock kelp farmers. So us, 6 of us gals got together and we decided we can't just talk forever. We have to act. So kelp is in our DNA. It's in our heritage, our culture. Everything was correct about sugar kelp, about the seaweed project, cleaning the earth, and also being together in the water, cleaning the water, taking care of our beautiful waterways in our ancestral territory, and along with the upsetting part of it, how it got polluted and contaminated in the first place. That's all a huge thing. But we all, every single time we talk, we have the solutions too. There's many problems all the time, but as mothers, grandmothers, and great grandmothers and everything, we have got to find these solutions. So this is one of, there's so much to do, but this is one thing that we knew we could start, we could accomplish, we could grow and pass down to our children. Because I always tell a funny story about when, Donna and I and Darlene, because we're about the same age, we would go to the waters and the seaweed was so slippery. You better watch yourself, because they would attach themselves to the rocks and everything. And we would be clamming and everything and getting scallops and mussels, snails, everything. We would put everything on the dinner plate. But boy, you better watch that seaweed. It was so slippery and slick. It was everywhere in abundance and different types of it. So it's everything that we can remember as children. Our earliest memories are slipping on the seaweed at the bay, part of our lifestyle. So it's a beautiful memory. But, of course, as you grow older, you're educated on all the contaminants that are around us, surrounding us everywhere, and how it happened and why, and now finally what we can do about it to be a part of the solution. So thank you again for inviting us here, and Dan's going to take it from here.
Okay, my name is Danielle Begun. I'm happy to be coming to you from the Shinnecock territory. Our home is a frontline community threatened by sea rise and acidification. The Shinnecock kelp farmers are an indigenous, women-led, multi-generational independent group of 6 women fighting the climate crisis. We are the first indigenous women-owned sugar kelp hatchery and farm on the eastern seaboard. Our hatchery and kelp farm support ecological restoration of Shinnecock Bay and beyond. It supports culture, our sovereignty, and a place-based livelihood of the Shinnecock community. It's very important to us. SKF is strengthening the community by providing a sustainable expression of tradition and more broadly, increasing regional efforts to improve water quality, climate mitigation, and ecosystem function in the Bay and beyond for the next 7 generations. We chose to grow sugar kelp for its ecological benefits of cleaning our waters and by sequestering carbon and nitrogen. No one can do this alone. And we have 2 main partners. The first is Greenwave. You can check them out at greenwave.org. They've given us amazing technical support. And the Sisters of St. Joseph. We built our hatchery on the grounds of St. Joseph's Villa in Hampton Bays, which is alongside the Shinnecock Bay. Another of our supporters is Stony Brook School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences, who shared last year their filtered water. They had some of our hatchery technicians out for learning sessions. We have new friends, the Nature Conservancy, the Citizens Campaign for the Environment, as well as Suffolk County's Water Quality Protection and Restoration Program. So our operation has 4 phases over the year. There's the hatchery, the outplanting and growth, harvest, and processing. So our year starts in early fall. We do not currently have a permanent structure, so we have to start every year fresh and rebuild. We're taking it apart now, and we're going to put it back together in late August and September. We ready our tanks and our spools are really our starting structure. They are 4 inches wide and 15 inches in length. They're hollow PVC pipes that we string about 400 feet of string. So I'm going to try to share my screen, and I apologize in case I mess up because I'm not very good at the technology. Okay. So there you can see we have Tila on the right, who is our director, Donna on the left, hatchery technician and farmer, and we have Sister Carrie from the Sisters of St. Joseph, who we work with all the time. And you see in their hands, they have our spool, and they are stringing hundreds of feet of twine, very thin twine. We have divers that collect natural reproductive material called source tissue. Unfortunately, warming waters have made finding this tissue very, very difficult. And this past year, we had weather delays, poor quality issues, which pushed our planned inoculation dates. Let's see, this one. So this is Donna. Once we've received our source tissue, we store it in the refrigerator until we're ready to use it. We place the fronds in solution and hope that they release spores. This is what they look like. We use as much recycled glass as we can. When the material is ready, we have a microscopic spore release, and we measure this with spores per milliliter. And we like to be able to plant when it's about 1,000. The measurement is at about 1,000 or more. We wait and hope that the spores live and adhere to the string. And here we are with the next picture. That's Mike Dole from Stony Brook. We inoculate our spools with spores. This one. If you can see on the left, the darker and more murky that liquid, the better chance we have for a good specimen. We are scrupulous about our sanitation. We wear gloves, sanitize our hands and tanks and tools. We change our water daily without fail. We limit who comes into the hatchery. During our hatchery grow season, we were looking for ways to give our seedlings the very best start. And there are studies that show that plants that are spoken to have better growth. So we developed a program called Kind Words, where we speak lovingly. We sing some of our traditional songs to them every time we're in the hatchery. We invited the Sisters of St. Joseph and the community to speak kind words to our Kelp. There's Sister Carrie. She speaks kind words as well. Some of the sisters sang, some said prayers. Our source grows from gametophytes to sporophytes. And this is what the sporophytes look like. They look like corn. Within about 10 days, we're able to start to see it growing on the spools. We've had a very successful hatchery season this year. We successfully processed our own purified seawater. Last year, we got it from Stony Brook. We increased our capacity from last year's 18 2-inch spools to 48 4-inch spools. We grew over 19,000 feet of plantable kelp string. Some of our spools were adopted out to various farms that needed seed, especially after that storm that went through. When the kelp is about 2 millimeters long, it's time for the planting and farming phase. That's us out planting in Shinnecock Bay. We suspend 100 feet of marine rope between 2 anchors. Then we unfurl our seeded string upon the marine rope. This year we planted thousands of feet of seeded line. We wait out at low tide to check once or twice a week all winter and into the spring. You can find us out there on foot in thermal waders and gloves, whether it's raining, snowing, freezing conditions, we're out there. Again, this year we encountered our nemesis, slipgut, which is another word for is ectocarpus. It's a slimy brown algae, which coated all of our lines last year, as well as this one, threatening to suffocate them. We spend a lot of time managing the slipgut, and it has damaged some of our lines, but we were mostly able to remove it very gently by hand. So this next one is our healthy kelp growing. That's about halfway through the season. It starts out slow, but it grows towards the end of the season faster and faster. Our kelp lines will grow through late May. It grows to about 3 feet in general. Last year, we had a bountiful harvest. In preparation for our drying process, we created a drying web, which is here. That's Donna and Waban, my partners. We requested donations of screens from the community, and people responded generously. We used screens destined for a landfill, and we'll reuse them this spring as well. We might even request more depending on how much we have to harvest. We remove the kelp by hand from the lines. I'll show you what the next one. That's our wet kelp spread out on the screens. It's a very unique color. It's golden and green and a little brown. Our wet kelp is rinsed and dried in the sun on screens. It takes about 2 good days, 2 solid dry days. Looks like here, that's what it looks like on our web. Once dry, our sugar kelp is ground into a soil amendment, which is available for sale to use in gardens. Here's what it looks like when it's dry. And use of our soil amendment stops more toxins from fertilizers running off back into the waterways. Next season, we're hoping to build a larger capacity hatchery. We expect to plant and tend thousands of feet of sugar kelp and sequester tons of carbon and nitrogen. And we're looking forward to being able to provide new farmers with seed and support their environment and development. Our collective future is not guaranteed by any means, but we are citizen scientists, and you can be ones as well. Our water protectors at Shinnecock Kelp Farmers believe with the right vision and the right collaborations and the courage to dive in and to do what we all can do, a new and better world can be made. So have hope, because kelp is on the way.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I have some of the dried. This is what the soil amendment looks like. I don't know if you can see that well. It kind of looks like tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be, depending on how fine we decide to go, it can be even finer than that.
And when you say soil amendment, that means it's a fertilizer?
We can't call it a fertilizer. It needs to be mixed in with other things, like fish.
But on its own as a supplement.
It's a supplement.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds great.
Well, we
You
do have,
could definitely call it a soil supplement. I like that. I think we have a marketing angle.
and I see Darlene has joined us as well. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Darlene.
So we can open it up for questions. If anybody has a question, please feel free to raise your hand. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, we
Type
don't have
in
to
the
be
chat
formal.
if you're having audio issues, type in the chat. I also wonder if there's no questions, if some of the students might want to tell Darlene and Danielle about their projects and what they're working on.
Come on, James. Let's hear from those Northport students.
All right.
There
well,
we are. Hi.
So we have a pretty big crew. There's 11
Oh, you
students who
do?
showed because they were just interested. A couple of kids had an interest in potentially doing something like this in Northport Harbor, but having no clue of where even to begin. So, thank you so much for doing this presentation and, informing us about the process that would need to take place. I would love if we could do something like this, but I don't know if we could get everybody outside every day checking and accessing the lines to assess every day. It is an amazing program, and it's definitely something that, we'd love to be able to experience or, participate in some capacity.
Yeah,
I
if
give
you're
you-
interested, I was just going to say, if you're interested in pursuing that, keep our hatchery in mind, because we would provide the seed, and you may be able, you're in Northport, you may be able to find someone who is a fisherman or in shellfish, oyster, scalloping. They have the basic area already plotted out that they're working. And so you would be able to put in anchors, we would provide seeds, and even if you put one test line out, it would be a great educational experience. And for us, with our lines, we actually see impact on the ecosystem. We see a return of shellfish, we see attachments of other marine life. So think in terms of maybe 1 or 2 lines in collaboration with a partner who is already in the water.
and Darlene, Can you just remind everyone, when do you put your kelp lines out? Because I know your kelp lines are currently in the water, but if the schools are interested to just even put one line in to do like a pilot, what time frame should they be looking at?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with the dive. When our divers go in the water, sometimes it takes more than one dive in order to receive the tissue that is viable. Once it goes into the hatchery, there is a period of 8 weeks. So, Dan, could you pick up on detail of timeline?
I would say you should be ready by late October, November. That would be the optimal time. Unfortunately, we are never able to hit that date. It would help with our slip gut problem because it comes in later. If we could get out earlier, it would be better. But it just hasn't happened.
Is there a biological reason you choose that time, or is it more of a sort of a town kind of thing when you're allowed to put the lines in, or is this the best growing season for this kelp?
Yeah, kelp loves cold water.
Okay.
It loves to be, is it below 49 degrees, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah, so the water temperature has to be chilled. And then also the organisms that begin to grow as the temperature gets warmer in the spring does not create the correct environment. So kelp is definitely cold water loving. So we flow with that season.
It also helps, in our case, we grew a couple of lines of kelp in Oyster Bay, and because it was during the time when there's not much boating going on, it was just a lot more, it was better received because they want it out like by April 1 or April 15th, and they, are not open. So thankfully it works out that it's during a quiet time, on the bay.
Yeah, Heather, that's why I asked too, because I know Southampton specifically has a lot of regulations like that about different things.
Okay,
Anybody from Riverhead, Leah, Dylan, do you guys have any questions or any way that our friends from Shinnecock kelp farmers might be able to help your study?
Hi, yes.
I just have a general.
Oh,
go ahead, Leah.
I'm sorry. Is it the whole process of growing it and then to harvest it for the project that we're using, which is making a biological a bioplastic that is safe for the environment? Is it a better process to use, say, seaweed than something else because of the benefits it has for the sound? Like the whole process of growing it helps with eutrophication.
Yeah, absolutely. The more good you can do, the better. That's one of the most wonderful things about growing sugar kelp for me is I've never found a downside. It's friendly. It provides food for habitat, and it's ecologically sound. And it's, as you had mentioned before, that it's a cold weather crop, so we're not interfering with the summer traffic or anything like that. There's no downside. And if you can layer that with making it into a plastic, that would be amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So Leah, are you guys well on your way with the project? I know that you had, a couple of different facets that you wanted to look at. I'm not sure with your timing how it's working out.
Yeah, we're well on our way. We just had some issues with our district, but other than that, we're pretty much solid.
Great.
We'd love to check out your project. Let us know. Get in contact.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. If I don't see any other questions, I'm going to say thank you to the Shinnecock kelp farmers for participating in today's Zoom and giving us, oh, wait, one more, Genesis. Go ahead.
Hi, yes. So I have a question. I was wondering if we could use your kelp farm to measure the nitrogen levels.
Sure,
How is that?
sure.
Do you mean to measure it before and after? Can you, Genesis, can you just maybe just give a little more clarity on what you need or what you'd like?
Yeah, so our experiment is hang on. I have it written down, so
Well, the answer is yes.
thank you.
Just,
Um,
it would just be timing.
is it possible if we could like have speak in part like another time with
Sure.
with my whole group, because my whole group isn't there right now, so
Absolutely. You can reach out to Shinnecock Kelp Farmers at gmail.com and just put your interest in the subject line. And that's for anyone as well.
And Genesis, also work with Ally too to, kind of drill down really what you're looking to measure and what the best way to do that is.
okay, thank you.
But
Yeah,
definitely go through
hopefully
Ally
it-
because she's your mentor on this project too. So.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting project. We do measure our carbon sequestration and the nitrates that we will be absorbing on our farm. So hopefully your project aligns in some way with the measurements that we are taking. Our reporting doesn't take place until later in the year, so we will have to watch our timing in terms of when you are doing your report and the end of school. So reach out to Shinnecock Kelp Farmers at gmail.com and we'll talk.
That sounds
Thank
great.
you. All right, well, it's 4:00 now, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't see any last hands. Let me just double check. Nope.
Thank you all so much.
Danielle?
This was great.
Yes, Danielle, Darlene, thank you so much for your time. Becky, if you're still on here, thank you again for your time. We really appreciate you, carving out this to talk to the students. Like I said, I did record it and we will be sharing it with all the schools. There was some schools that couldn't participate today, but were interested in seeing the presentation. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
everybody.
Guys,
Thank you all. Great work.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
thanks. Bye, everyone. Thanks for
So
logging on.
long.